Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM19 story, part of The Furniture with me, Daniel. It's Season 3, Episode 3, and today we've got another big double header in two competitions as we play Bournemouth at home in the Checkatrade Trophy before playing away to Crewe in a League 2 relegation clash. As you know, we were planning to come back for the Maidstone game slightly earlier, but the reason we played that off camera is because they're right up there challenging for a playoff place, and there were no relation to our league position, whereas Crewe are just 2 points above, as the bottom half of the table is so close, separated by just 5 points after 14 games, with 3 points off the bottom of the league, but only one win from the top half. Quite a crazy situation, really. The one positive we did have in the last episode was a good start to the Checkatrade Trophy, and if we can do the same against Bournemouth under-23s today, we should be through with a game to spare. The other bit of big news off the pitch since you were last with me is that we've got a board takeover in process at the moment. Talks are continuing as they have been since not long after the last episode, and it is a bit frustrating because I found a couple of good youngsters that have popped up in scout reports that we've looked into further and watched that we think will be really good signings for the second half of the year, and they're young players with a lot of potential that other clubs are looking at as well, and we're losing out on them because we can't make signings at the moment. So if we go to our scout reports, I can show you the one that we were looking at. Just because we're not able to get the players in at the moment doesn't mean we can't look out for them and make sure we get the right ones. Obviously we don't use the player search screen, so we're going to go to the scouted one. If we have either of the interested ins highlighted, no one comes up because we can't make the signings. Though one bit of news from episode 2 is Reece Williams did reject us in the end, so we'll wait until January and come back in. Most of the clubs who want him at the moment are League 1 or Championship, so we haven't really got a chance as it stands. But the one that's really stood out for me that I want to get in is Owen Jack. He's at Alloa in League 1 in Scotland at the moment, the third tier up there. If we go and look at him, he's 17 years old. He's a fantastic player already. Physically, he's an absolute monster across the board. Mentally, he's very strong for a youngster. He's natural in the pressing forward role and as a target man, and he can play pretty well as an advanced forward too. He's okay in the air, he's a good finisher, well composed, a free kick taker as well, and I just feel like he's the sort of player we really need. And I tell you what, Alloa must have some great players, because according to those stats at the bottom, he's not even starting for them. But a player I'm so eager to sign, and he will definitely be the first player we go in for once we come out of this embargo. He's only worth 7,000, and I think we'll be able to get him in within our budget. If we go and have a look at the transfer screen, we've got 70,000 left and £4,000 on the wage budget nearly. There's a few other players that we're looking to loan out still, so we can make more room for him if need be. We did manage to get rid of the other three in the end. Sendles, White, Hosey and O'Sullivan all went out on loan, and their whole wage is being paid, which has added about another £1,000 to the wage budget, and just means that we're trying to complete our objective, which is to stay up in the league this season whilst keeping the budget and the finances of the club going in the right direction. We want to take a bit of a hit this year in terms of progress on the pitch, if it means we can sort out an infrastructure for the club moving forward. And hopefully with 500 grand in the bank, they'll be happy to start giving us a youth recruitment and some youth development, including coaching and facilities that will allow us to get players in. The other thing is obviously results since we were last here. Cheltenham were the first game off camera following that Ipswich tie in the Cup. We beat them 2-1 in a big game at home. Kennedy backed on the score sheet and Burns scoring a goal after Cheltenham took an early lead. But we then got beaten comfortably away at Cambridge 2-0. Flanagan and Glatzel got the goals for them, one in each half. And to be honest, it was a very comfortable performance for them. However, we did have this one really weird game at home to Lincoln. Nathan Delfonso scored for them, but not before we'd managed to get a 5-goal lead. All of the goals coming in a 20-minute period either side of the break. A fantastic performance. It came absolutely out of the blue. We'd been really poor and struggling in front of goal a lot of the season, and particularly at the back we let in goals, which we did there. But to be 5-1 victors in a game against Lincoln, who were a really decent side at this level, was very strange indeed. Nelson got a hat-trick with Platt and Kennedy adding the other goals in what was a comprehensive win for us, and we carried that form into the Peterborough game away from home. The favourites for the league, but we got a 1-1 draw. Nick Freeman on the right wing with what I think was his first for the club. He's got 2, so he might well have got one before that as well. So if he did, you can discount that attempt at a fact. However, we then played at home to Plymouth and Freeman scored there, so the Peterborough one was his first goal for the club. Broja got the first goal there, we let in 3 sloppy goals and Freeman scored from a penalty as they went down to 10 men. But against our rivals in game, obviously they're clubs that used to play in very similar divisions around League 2 for a while, but Plymouth had the better of the game and at this stage they're a bit ahead of us in their development. They're a comfortable Football League club and we've got to earn that right again, but it was lovely to see the ground sell out for the first time in the Football League. We then went away to Wimbledon and got the same result. Barley Mumba came back to haunt us as he set up 2 of the goals as they won 3-2. Broja and a Nelson penalty with the goals for us. But Barley Mumba, it was just such a shame to see him with another shirt on. And when they scored, he was the first to go and celebrate. So I wasn't too happy about that. But in that game against Maidstone that we were planning to come back for, Broja got a late equaliser for us to make it 1-1. And it's a decent point given the start to the season that Maidstone had. And let's not forget, in winning the league last year, they finished comfortably above us. So they are probably a better team on paper, and they have got some really good players, to be fair. But let's get into today's game. We've got a game in the Checkatrade Trophy which could see us through. You can see ourselves and Oxford won the first games. If the same happens again today, with Oxford playing Ipswich, then we'll be in exactly the same position. We'll both be on 6 points, and we'll both be through. We're not worried about winning the group, and to be fair, we're still playing a rotational side either way. Ballin and White are on international duty. It's the competition that Ballin would have played in, so it's a bit of a shame he's not available. But we've got as much of a rotated side as we can get away with. We have to have 4 of the starting 11 that played in the last fixture. So that's the 11 that start the game, plus the 3 that come off the bench. So we make sure we always make 3 subs in the game before, just to give us a bit more variation and chances to meet the requirements for this game. So the rotated side today, it's mostly a backup team, but we've got O'Brien in goal, Hume and Pike are the fullbacks with Platt and Sokolic at centre-half, Molyneux and Freeman on the wings with Payne and McDonald in the middle. We've finally given up and taken him out of the first 11 in the league, despite his weapon from the throw-in, because he's just not good enough. And we've got Nelson up front with Foy. Nelson and Freeman, probably the only 2 real first-team players there. Sokolic's not had a look in since his move didn't go through. His behaviour in the summer really annoyed me. But let's get into the game. We're not as worried about this one as we are the Crewe match at the weekend. And of course that gives me the chance to shamelessly plug my FIFA 19 career, where we're playing with Crewe, taking them from the bottom to the top. A bit like we are in this series with Torquay. Let's get into it. We'll just encourage the lads. They're playing a 4-4-2, so hopefully we can pull off something here. I don't think we'll get a great result, but if we can get a point, I consider it a good outcome. They've got a player there, Heinemann, who was on loan at Rangers a couple of years ago. He's a good player from the first team. Jordan, a centre-half. He's not a first-teamer, but he's a decent player. They've got a player, R. Fraser, up front. Who's he? I thought that was Ryan Fraser for a minute, but it's not. It's Ray, another 17-year-old through their academy. And in goal, they've got Eldin Jakupovic, a player who was quite famous at Leicester and Hull before in a couple of FA Cup runs. But again, not a top-class player, so we'd like to hope if the youngsters aren't quite good enough, we'll be able to get a result out of this. And let's not forget they did lose their first game too. Heinemann's bringing the ball forward to Taylor for them. We've got 15 minutes on the clock. And we've not had much to speak about yet. Hume heads it away on the left, but only to their winger. Clears it again this time, straight up to the centre-halves, and it's away. Foy does his job and wins it back. McDonald gets Nelson in behind one-on-one. Centre-half makes a hash of it. The keeper does even worse. Tries to smother it at his feet and just drops it down to Nelson. And Nelson taps it into the empty net, and we lead 1-0 through one of our 2 first-team players. It's Payne with the long throw, the weapon we've talked about. Freeman's up towards it, but Jakupovic does really well in goal for Bournemouth. A lot better than he did for the goal, and claims comfortably, and he'll clear long. Beaumont loses out to Pike in the air, but now they're bringing it forward down the left. Taylor finds Glover on the overlap. Glover's got the fullback coming forward in free guard. Up towards the centre forward, but Pike heads away only as far as Glover. Poor touch back to Pike again, and now Nelson's in behind. Foy's in the middle. He still hasn't scored since March last year. If we can get him one, it'd be great. Freeman crosses for Foy. Heads it straight at Jakupovic. It's half-time, it's a 1-0 lead. We have been the better side, but they've still had moments of danger, and we've got to be careful in the second half. I can see the other promoted side, Maidstone, there. We talked about the result in the last game where we held them to a draw. They're 3-0 up against Fulham under 23s. They look a really good side, and I think they'll be right up there this season. We're going to keep encouraging the lads because they've done okay, and we've got to kick off for the second half with Nelson. All the way back to Platt and Hume. Molyneux on the left, who we've not seen much of in this game, but the 2 first-team players have been by far the standout performers so far, and we've looked fairly solid at left-back as well. Hume played really well in the first game against Ipswich in this trophy, and he's doing okay again tonight, but whenever we played him in the league, league towards the end of last season and at the start of this, he's been appalling. Payne with a long throw again from the right. Flicked on by Sokolic, just over the bar, and Bournemouth have a goal kick. But on the hour mark, we look more likely to add to the lead than they do to equalise. Freeman with the ball back to Payne. Payne 25 yards out from his own goal to McDonald. Over halfway to Foy. Foy's going to take the man on. Still looking for that goal. Goes for the shot, but Jakupovic gets the parry away and holds it at a second attempt. And Foy still searches for his elusive strike for the first time in what would be 7 months now. Just a quarter of the game to go. McGee with a throw in for them. Long ball up towards the striker, but Hume hits that comfortably. McDonald to Payne, who goes over the top. Nelson's in one-on-one again. Goes round the keeper again and puts it into the empty net for the second time of the match. He's been one of the few first-team players in the 11 today, and he's very much showed in his added quality. We're going to make some subs with 20 left on the clock. We'd like to rest Freeman if possible because he is one of our first team players, but I don't know that I've got any other options here at present. We're going to bring on Ben Williams, the usual left back. He's going to come on for Freeman. We're going to switch Molyneux out to the right hand side, and we're going to bring Hume up to left midfield with Williams conserving energy at left back. McDonald's often in the first team as well, so we do have to think about him, and I'd quite like to take Foy off because he struggled again, and Kennedy coming back to fitness does need 20 minutes or so, and they probably won't go amiss for him. So we'll bring him on too, and we'll make the third sub in a few moments' time. It's a corner for Bournemouth. Outswing a ball. Oh, it's an own goal from McDonald. I was just about to take him off as well, and I'm definitely going to do it now. But I left it a moment too late. He's absolutely knackered. Hunt's going to come on. A player that's barely had a kick yet since we got him as a panic signing on deadline day in the last episode. And we've just got to hope that that doesn't end up costing us in this game. We put a free kick into the box, which is headed away. Falls back for Hume, and his shot deflects wide. And we're too busy about changing and closing people down, making those little tactical tweaks to try and hold on for a 2-1 win, which shows where our priorities are after leaking goals galore this season. Nelson with a free strike again, and it's cleared away. It was bouncing around all over the place in the box, as for the third time the keeper committed when he didn't need to. Payne with a long throw up towards Sokolic, but the keeper comes and claims. He's been really good from long throws, but any time the ball's been towards his feet, he's been absolutely useless. Pike goes for a long clearance, which is blocked. Platt goes back to O'Brien, the keeper. O'Brien with a long ball over the top towards Kennedy, who loses out. But it's Payne on halfway. He goes out to Hume on the left to Kennedy. He's got a man in the middle if he can find him, but he doesn't. Deflects out to Hunt on the edge of the box, goes for the shot, but it's just wide. And we still have to cope with just that goal lead going into the last few minutes. A long ball up towards Fraser. Hindman gets the ball over the top to Beaumont. Beaumont goes for the shot that's blocked out to Jenkins. Crosses into the box, which Platt heads away. Glover on the edge is going to have a strike. As he doesn't, he goes back. Hindman out to Hards. It's blocked and it's straight into O'Brien. And we can breathe again as we still look to hold on. And we're going to do what we normally do with the instructions. Play for set pieces, time waste frequently, and slow the pace down when we get the ball. Let's get back into it. 3 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Hards with a throw in at right back again. It's flicked onto Taylor on the edge. Goes for the shot, but it's straight at O'Brien. And I'm starting to lose my voice, so I hope they don't have too many more highlights as we move into stoppage time. Williams heads the ball away to Hume. 30 seconds to go. It's exactly where we want it. We've got a 3-on-3. He finds Nelson on the right. Kennedy's in the middle. There's a midfield runner too, but his cross is blocked behind for a corner. And if we time waste effectively, that should see out the rest of the time. Hunt's got the ball for the corner, but he's not in a rush to take it. As long as you want, mate, you can take the booking, I don't mind. He's got an outswinger when he eventually does deliver. I don't know why no one's gone for the short for the corner flag there. Platt's got the ball at the back post. It's headed off the line to Hume. Shoots but puts it wide. It was an empty goal. He could have just laid it into the bottom corner. But the final whistle goes and we win 2-1. And despite a fairly average second half performance, we thoroughly deserved the win. And thankfully, Jakupovic's antics in goal, despite his good rating overall, managed to win us the game. Nelson with a brace and we win 2-1. We'll praise the lads because we want to get confidence up after a few poor results. And that should seal us a place in the second round of the Checkatrade Trophy. It doesn't quite see us through with Ipswich beating Oxford. We're going to go and praise Nelson because he scored both goals. He was fantastic for us and his class showed in the end. The media are happy with our performance and the fact that we won the game, and hopefully it'll sort out a bit of the dressing room dynamics. You can see the lines back into the green now, so fingers crossed that will help us out on Saturday in a big relegation 6-pointer against Crewe. We'll be back in a second for that one. Conceivably, we could go bottom today if results all go against us, but it's highly unlikely that 6 teams will win. A couple of quick things that have happened between the games. We've got a new board at last, so we'll be able to make our transfers after this game. We'll be able to get them planned ready for the start of January, and there's one free agent I'd quite like to get to. We've had good positive messages from the new board, but they have severed the links with Yeovil for the pre-season friendly and Tiverton, who we used to do a friendly for as well. But the ones where we had loanees, so Truro for us to loan players out, and Sunderland who were sending theirs to us, we've still got both of those links working and in full effect, so no change for us really on a day-to-day basis. The other news was that first game against Bournemouth set an unwanted record, a new attendance low, just 343, absolutely appalling, but that's what the Checkatrade Trophy is all about, and I'm sure in real life you'll have seen that too. But today we're playing Crewe, a team I know quite well from my FIFA 19 career. We're playing with them, doing the same sort of thing as this challenge really. We're starting in the bottom playable league and trying to take them to the top. Although obviously FIFA 19 transfers are a bit easier and less realistic. And of course you're in control of what happens on the pitch, which does make a bit of a difference too. We're just going to go and see if there's any familiar names for them there. They've got Ainley, he's a player we're still using in that save. I don't think there's too many others. Perry and G and Garrett the keeper. So there are 3 or 4, and even Bowery on the bench too. So actually there are a fair few familiar names. There's other ones that we've had or got at the club. So in season 1 in our FIFA career we used Wintle and Kirk. So I'm familiar with at least half the team. And people like Travis Johnson who had the odd game as youngsters there too. So again in an alternate universe, but plenty of familiar names and familiar faces who we'll be hoping to upset today. We're back to as close to full strength as possible. We've still got Broder and White on international duty, so there's a couple of gaps in the team. But other than that, we're as strong as we can be with Bass in goal, Williams and Pike are the fullbacks with Byrne and Davis in the middle, Freeman and Walker on the wings, with Westbrook and Walker our central midfielders, and Nelson and Kennedy are the partnership up front. The only other option's Matt Foy, who still hasn't scored in a bazillion years, so we're not going to give him a chance either. He has to be on the bench because he's the only other fit striker, and the only other one that's not on international duty. Let's get into the game and fingers crossed we can get a result. We're playing a 4-4-2 against their 4-4-1-1 and I've just noticed they've got James Jones playing in central midfield, another player that's been a star for us in FIFA 2, so there are more familiar names than I recognise to start with. We're going to encourage the lads and hopefully they'll do as well as they did in the last one. I know we've saved our best performances for the Checkatrade Trophy this season, an absolute tongue twister to say and I wish I didn't have to say it every few minutes. But we have still got the results in that one and we just need to get a couple more in the league. As we said when we got promoted, 22nd is success this year. They have an early chance which is tipped onto the bar by Bass and is put out for a throw-in on the right. Kennedy with an attack there, but the ball's been cleared away and now Linton's coming forward for Crewe. He's surging at the defence and they're starting to get support up in numbers. Lowry gets the ball to Pickering and Riley. Riley finds Linton, goes for the shot but it's comfortably wide, and with 5 minutes gone, they've had the better of things but it's still 0-0. Just over 10 minutes in now, Walker with a free kick from 35 yards, puts it straight at the wall. It's Tom Walker, that is the left footer. Brad Walker's got the ball now. He tries to switch it out, but Tom Walker's not there. And as a result, it goes out for a goal kick. An awful ball, and still 0-0. It's Crewe with a throw on the right-hand side into Kirk. Kirk goes back to Ng again, another name we're familiar with. Crosses in, but Davis towering header away. Jones gets the ball. What a tackle that is by the pressing forward. But it's fallen to them on the edge of the box again. Pickering in for Riley, and Bass just palms it in. Awful goalkeeping after a tackle from Nelson, which put them in. We've got a corner now, an outswinger from Tom Walker. Davis at the back post gets up and G loses out to him, but it's straight into Garrett's arms and we're dropping down to 20th position as it stands. We've been awful away from home nearly all season and I can't see us getting any wins. We are training a new tactic that might cope with ones like this, with a 4-3-3, one man up front and a holding midfielder. Obviously we've got Rowan McDonald, the 18-year-old, who's natural in that role, and it may well work for us longer term when we're playing away from home to just leave the one up front. Especially on days like this where we've only got 3 strikers at the club and only one that's really good enough for this league. Lowry gets the ball to Jones in the middle as Crewe surge forward again. Riley finds Kirk cutting in from that right, a natural left footer, but it's absolutely awful and it's behind for a goal kick off his own man. We've won the ball back with Williams on the left, goes over the top to Nelson, goes for the shot, it's over the bar, it's awful, and it's still 1-0 to Crewe. No more eventful action towards the end of that first half. It is half time. It's 1-0. We've been just edged out. It's been a poor game in truth, and we're going to tell the lads we expect much better. But as per usual, away from home, that won't work. We will try changing to our 4-3-3 if we're still behind with 15 minutes to go. But for now, we don't want to rock the boat too early because they've only been training it for 2 or 3 weeks. Pike gets the ball to Freeman in the defensive area. Freeman's put Linton in one-on-one. A woeful pass, but it's been cleared away and luckily we escape. But they're the sort of things that you just can't afford to do at this level. And Freeman, our best and highest paid player, is the man who does it. Riley's got the ball on the edge to Kirk again for them. Jones into Lowry 25 yards out. Time for a shot which Bass makes a brilliant save to tip over. But it's all Crewe and we don't look like we could score in a million years. We've had a third of the possession. Kirk gets a free header from the corner. That's one of the shorter wingers and he heads it over the bar. We're up to the hour mark. We're going for a long throw with Williams, the left back, taking them in the absence of Payne, who's no longer starting. Westbrook gets the ball to Walker, and now Williams and Westbrook exchange some passes. Walker's cutting in from the left-hand side to the edge of the box. Back to Brad Walker, his namesake. Cleared away, and Wrench puts it out for a throw-in. And we're going to make some changes if we don't see any improvement after this attack. It's Crewe with a throw-in in the right-back area. Jones gets the ball from Ng and finds Kirk. Kirk goes inside but gives it away to Brad Walker. Obviously a man who started his career at Crewe in this game. Loaned them to us in the first season. And now he's got a few more clubs since and is playing for us permanently. Riley gets the ball to Lowry, who will clear over halfway. He goes out to the right-hand side to Kirk. He had so many options because we're just not closing down well enough. Kirk's challenged, but again it falls to another man for Crewe. And Westbrook clears for a throw and it's time for tactical changes. We're going to pause the game while we do it. And we're going to go to our new 4-3-3. We're going to change up some of the roles very slightly. Nelson will be an advanced pressing forward. Freeman's going to be a winger. He's going to stay on attack actually. We don't need him on support. Tom Walker's not really good on the left, so we'll think about replacing him in a minute. The fullbacks we've got on are already natural wing backs, so we'll be able to play them on a supporting duty. I don't know what we're going to do in the centre of midfield. Brad Walker has to be a box-to-box player, and Westbrook we're going to drop back into his deep lying role, or can we get away with something a bit more advanced? We're going to leave him deep lying, but we're going to put him on a support duty. We're going to bring on Rowan McDonald in the holding role for Kennedy. Again, he's good as an anchor man, but he's better as a defensive midfielder on defend. Molyneux's a natural left winger, so he's going to come on for Tom Walker, who was anxious anyway. He's not great in that role, Molyneux, but we can get him on as a winger again, and this time we'll have him on attack too, just to try and get all three of them charging forward, hopefully with the support of Brad Walker. Zane Westbrook's had a poor game too, so we'll take him off for Payne. Payne's got that long throw and obviously it's a good weapon to have. So with all three changes made, hopefully we can get back into the game. Only 5 minutes left now. We've not had a highlight since, so we're going to go attacking and hope that it works out. We will go very attacking in stoppage time if we need to, but we've headed the ball away at the back. And it has shored us up defensively. We've not conceded an attack since. But unfortunately, we haven't looked like going forward either. So I don't know if it's going to be a good tactic away from home. It certainly might help us get the odd 0-0. But if we concede a goal, I think we're pretty much back to the drawing board then. Kirk in the box finds Lowry. And as I say that, they look like they're going to get an attack. Pickering with the ball on the left area. He gets the ball to Lowry. Lowry inside to Riley. Shoots his 2-0. And there you go. Right off exactly what I've just said. Because it doesn't make any difference and we've conceded a goal. We'll go back to balance just to keep it respectable, but it looks like we've got a lot of work to do away from home, and quite simply we just don't have enough legs and enough good players, but that's what happens when you've got one of the lowest budgets in the league. Lowry with a shot from the edge, and again it deflects away. Kirk shoots but it's blocked. Pike all clear, and we're just hanging on for two now. We don't look like scoring away from home, and that's where the problem lies. Hopefully with Broder up top alongside Nelson, we can think about doing something with a target man and maybe being even more direct. But when we haven't got him available due to international duty, we look a really poor side. Kirk nods the ball away for a throw and we lose 2-0. It was a really comfortable game for Crewe. And considering they're a side that are expected to be down there with us, we really got to start to worry about where we might finish this year. We're going to be right down on the brink of the relegation zone after that result. And I think we might have a lot of work to do before the next episode. The Crewe side on here look just as comfortable as the one we've got on FIFA 19. With a lot of the same names as well, such as Jones and Ng, who ran the game there for them. We're still 3 points off the bottom thanks to a couple of other results, but we're only 2 points off the relegation zone now, and it's fair to say we can start to be very concerned. We'll look and see what they've said about the game. Poor form continues and powerless to resist. 5 matches in the league without a win and just 2 points as well. We've got another long spell of games coming up, a lot of Tuesday night ones, so we will leave it for now. If we get a big FA Cup tie, we'll come back for that, but it's unlikely in the first round. We're obviously almost through in a Checkatrade Trophy, so there's not too much value in that. You can see Morecambe, who are 23rd at the moment, we're facing at the start of December. Orient are bottom, and they're the team we're playing towards the end of November. And we've got Oldham, who are down there as well. So 2 of those 3 games will feature in the next episode. But that's all for this one for now. If you did enjoy the video, please put a thumbs up on it. Let me know in the comments what you think of our form and what I should do away from home. You can see we've not won a game all season since the Blackpool one in August. It's the only away win we've got bar the first day of the season, and we're really starting to struggle and hemorrhage goals there too. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager content from my 2 FM19 stories. This one part of the furniture with Torquay United, where we're obviously starting to have a sticky spell now. And my other series, The Head Coach. We've also got weekly episodes from the FIFA 19 career with Crewe Alexandra. Today's opponents in the second of this doubleheader. So if you haven't seen that one yet, please go and check it out. But a massive thanks for watching this one as always, and we'll see you next time.